108-year-old girl was tied to a fence. A lonely Comanche gave her a name, Warmth, and Clara had never wandered so far from home before. The prairie stretched endlessly in every direction, golden grass waving gently in the wind. She had meant only to explore the outskirts of her town, but curiosity had carried her farther than she realized. By the time she noticed, the sun was already dipping low, painting the sky in pink and orange streaks. Clara shivered. The prairie, so beautiful in the daylight, now seemed vast and lonely. I should head back, she whispered to herself. But when she turned, she realized she had no idea which way led home. Panic pricked at her chest, but she took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. After a few steps, her foot caught on something and she stumbled forward with a yelp. Looking down, she saw an old fence, broken and leaning in places, its wood weathered gray. One of the posts had a rope tangled around it, and before she could react, she found herself caught. "Oh no," Clara muttered. She struggled to free her legs, but the rope only tightened, trapping her more. She pulled at it, hoping it would loosen, but it wouldn't budge. Her heart thumped, and the wind grew colder. She wrapped her arms around herself, wishing she had thought to bring a jacket. From a distance, someone noticed her. Kaya, a young Comanche man, was riding his horse across the prairie. He had been alone all morning, checking the edges of the grasslands and keeping an eye on the few animals he cared for. His eyes, sharp from years of observing the land, caught movement near the fence. Slowing his horse, he saw the young girl struggling. Something in her frightened posture made him ride closer, cautiously, so as not to startle her. Clara spotted the horse approaching and froze. She didn't know this man, and yet something in his calm manner put her slightly at ease. Dismounted carefully, his movements smooth and quiet, and stepped closer. "Are you all right?" Kaya asked, his voice gentle. There was no judgment or threat, only concern. I think I'm stuck," Clara said, her voice trembling. "I can't get this rope off." Kaya knelt beside her and examined the rope. It was old and frayed, but strong. "Don't worry, I can help," he said. With careful hands, he loosened the knots and freed her legs. Clara stood shakily and brushed herself off, grateful and a little embarrassed. "Thank you," she said softly. She had never met someone like Kaya before. There was a quiet strength about him, but also a kindness that made her feel safe. "You're welcome," Kaya replied, his dark eyes studying her for a moment. "It's easy to get lost out here if you aren't careful. Prairie can be tricky." Clara nodded. "I didn't mean to wander so far. I wanted to see what was beyond the hills." Kaya smiled faintly. "Curiosity is good. It can teach you many things if you stay safe." They stood in silence for a moment, the wind blowing across the tall grass around them. Clara felt a strange sense of calm. She realized that she had been tense and afraid, but Kaya's presence made her feel less alone. "My name is Kaya," he said suddenly, as if sensing her thoughts. "And you are Clara?" she replied. "Clara," Kaya said, repeating her name as if testing how it sounded on the prairie air. Then, with a small grin, he said, "I will give you another name too, if you like. One for the prairie." Clara raised an eyebrow. "Another name?" "Yes," Kaya said. "A name that belongs to the wind and the grass. It will remind you of today, of this moment, and of the prairie itself." He paused, thinking carefully. "I will call you Little Star. The sun is going down, the first stars will soon appear, and you shone bravely today, even when you were scared." Clara laughed softly. "Little Star, I like that." The name made her feel special, like she belonged somewhere, even if she didn't know where. "Little Star," Kaya said again, smiling. "Come. You need warmth. It is cold now, and you cannot stay here." He took off his light cloak and wrapped it around her shoulders. The material was thin, but felt warmer than she expected. She shivered less as the chill of the evening settled around them. "Thank you, Kaya," she said. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You would have managed," he replied, but his tone suggested he doubted it. "Still, it is better to have help than struggle alone." Clara nodded, feeling a little embarrassed that she had gotten herself into trouble. "I guess I never thought about how lonely it can get out here," she admitted. "Lonely?" Kaya asked. He looked at her curiously. "Sometimes. But the prairie also teaches you patience, and it rewards those who pay attention. There is always something to learn if you look." Clara listened as he spoke, fascinated by the way he described the land. He pointed out patches of wild flowers, the tracks of animals, and the distant hills where water might be. She realized she had never noticed these things before. The world around her felt alive in a way she had never experienced. "I want to see more," she said, her eyes wide with excitement. "Will you show me?" Kaya considered for a moment. I will. But first, you must eat. You've been walking all day. He reached into a small pack and pulled out some dried fruit and bread, offering it to her. Clara accepted it eagerly. As they shared the food, they began to talk about their lives. Clara told him about her small town, her family, and her love of exploring. Kaya shared stories of the prairie, of his people, and of the skills he had learned from his father and grandfather. They laughed at small stories and marveled at the oddities of nature. For the first time in her life, Clara felt someone truly understood her curiosity and spirit. Night fell, and the first stars began to appear in the sky, twinkling like tiny diamonds. Kaya built a small fire to keep them warm, and they sat beside it, feeling the gentle heat. Clara watched the flames dance and felt a sense of peace she had never known. You are brave, little star, Kaya said quietly. Most would have panicked, but you stayed calm and trusted. That is important. Clara smiled shyly. I guess I had to. I had no choice. No choice sometimes teaches us more than freedom, Kaya said. His words made Clara think. Perhaps getting lost was not entirely bad. Perhaps it had brought her here, to this place and to this friend. As the night deepened, the prairie grew quiet. The wind whispered through the grass, and distant owls called to one another. Kaya and Clara talked until their voices grew tired, then fell silent, enjoying the peaceful sounds around them. For the first time that day, Clara felt truly safe. Before they slept, Kaya handed Clara a small piece of cloth he had dyed with natural colors from the prairie. Keep this with you, he said, a reminder that you are never truly alone. The land watches over you, and so do friends. Clara held the gift close to her heart. Thank you, she whispered. I will remember today forever. Kaya nodded, then lay down beside the fire, keeping a careful watch through the night. Clara curled up under the cloak he had given her, feeling warmth and comfort she had never known. She closed her eyes, thinking of the prairie, the stars, and the kind man who had rescued her. As she drifted into sleep, she knew that her life had changed. She had ventured too far, gotten into trouble, and yet, through that trouble, she had found a friend, safety, and a sense of belonging. And in that moment, Clara understood something important. Sometimes, getting lost was only the first step to finding something truly wonderful. The prairie stretched endlessly around them, quiet and calm, holding secrets and stories for those who dared to explore. And for Clara and Kaya, it had given the beginning of a bond that would grow stronger with each passing day. Morning came slowly over the prairie, golden light spilling across the waving grass. Clara woke to the soft warmth of the sun and the gentle smell of the fire still smoldering. Kaya was already awake, tending to a small patch of herbs he had planted near his camp. She watched him quietly, amazed at how naturally he moved through the world. Everything about him seemed calm and confident, like he belonged to the prairie itself. Good morning, Clara said softly. Morning, little star, Kaya replied with a smile. Did you sleep well? Yes, she said, stretching. Better than I expected. The night had been chilly, but under Kaya's cloak, by the fire, and surrounded by the quiet of the prairie, she had felt safe for the first time in a long time. Breakfast is simple, but it will fill you up, Kaya said, handing her a small bundle of dried corn, berries, and bread. Clara accepted it eagerly, savoring the sweet and salty flavors. As they ate, Kaya explained which plants were safe to eat, which ones could be used for medicine, and how to find fresh water in the streams that sometimes ran hidden through the prairie. Clara listened carefully, fascinated. She had never thought much about survival skills before, but something about Kaya's calm teaching made her want to learn. Can you show me how to read the land? She asked. Kaya nodded. Patience is important. The land tells many stories, if you know how to listen. After breakfast, Kaya led Clara a short distance from the camp. He pointed out tracks in the soil. See this? He said. Rabbit tracks. The soil is soft, so we can tell which way it ran and how big it is. Each creature leaves its own mark. If you pay attention, you can understand a lot about the world around you. Clara bent down, tracing the small paw prints with her fingers. It's like the land is talking to us, she said. Yes, Kaya said. The land always talks. We just need to notice. As the morning passed, Kaya taught Clara more about the prairie. They practiced reading the wind, identifying the different calls of birds, and even spotting signs of animals from afar. Clara felt a growing sense of connection to the world around her. It was different from her town, busy and noisy, but it was alive in ways she had never imagined. By midday, they returned to the camp for a brief rest. Clara noticed how Kaya moved quietly, never disturbing the plants or the small animals nearby. You seem careful with everything, she said. Even the grass and the birds. Kaya smiled. Everything has a place. We must respect it. That is how we survive and how we live in peace. Clara thought about her own life, where everything was rushed and people often ignored the small things. She realized how much she had missed noticing the world around her. After resting, Kaya suggested they go a little further, toward a small stream he knew. The water will be fresh, and we can follow it to see where it leads, he said. Clara nodded eagerly. As they walked, they talked more about themselves. Clara told Kaya about her favorite books, about the small dreams she had for the future, and about her love of exploring new places. Kaya listened without interrupting, offering quiet advice and encouragement. When it was his turn, Kaya shared stories of his childhood, of the prairie, and of the lessons his father had taught him. Clara noticed that he rarely spoke of loneliness directly, but she could feel it in his words. He had spent much of his life in solitude, yet he had found ways to connect deeply with the world around him. I used to feel very alone, Kaya admitted as they reached the stream. But the land keeps me company, and sometimes I meet people who are kind. They remind me that the world is not so empty. Clara looked at him, understanding for the first time that he had been isolated by choice, but not completely unhappy, I think. I understand, she said softly. I've felt alone sometimes, too, even around people. They knelt by the stream to drink and wash their hands. The water was cool and clear, and the sound of it moving over the stones was soothing. Clara bent down to cup the water in her hands and felt a sense of calm she had not felt in the town. Kaya watched her carefully, as if making sure she was safe. Do you want to try catching a fish? He asked after a while, pointing to a small, shallow pool. Clara's eyes lit up. I've never done that before. Kaya showed her how to use a simple stick and line to catch the fish. At first, Clara was clumsy, dropping the line or missing the fish entirely. But Kaya encouraged her gently, giving small hints and reminders. Patience, he said. The fish will come. You just need to wait. Finally, after several attempts, Clara caught a small fish. Her eyes widened with delight. I did it! I really did it! She exclaimed. Kaya smiled. You did. Well done, little star. They laughed together, and Clara felt a rush of pride and happiness. It was the first time she had felt truly capable of doing something in the wild. After catching the fish, they sat by the stream and ate it roasted over a small fire. Clara felt a sense of accomplishment and connection to Kaya and the prairie that she had never felt before. As the day went on, they explored more, finding small hills and hidden valleys. Clara learned to identify edible plants, track animals, and even predict the weather by observing the clouds. Kaya was patient and kind, never rushing her, and always encouraging her to notice the small details around them. By late afternoon, they returned to the camp. Clara was tired but happy, her mind buzzing with all she had learned. She looked at Kaya and smiled. Thank you, she said. I have never learned so much in one day. You are a fast learner, Kaya said. The land responds to those who listen. As the sun began to set, Kaya built another fire. They sat together, watching the sky change from gold to pink to deep purple. Clara realized how much she had grown in just one day, not only in skills but in confidence. She no longer felt the fear she had felt when she first got stuck by the fence. Do you feel more at home here? Kaya asked quietly. Clara nodded. I feel peaceful, and I feel like I can do things I never thought I could. Kaya smiled, pleased. That is the prairie's gift, and your own courage. Night fell, and the stars appeared again, twinkling like tiny lanterns across the dark sky. Clara and Kaya sat by the fire, sharing stories and laughter. Clara thought about her town, about her life before she got lost, and about how different things felt now. She realized she had found a place where she could learn, grow, and be herself. Before they slept, Kaya handed her another small gift, a piece of cloth he had dyed with natural colors, decorated with simple patterns from the prairie. Keep this with you, little star, he said. It will remind you of today, and of what you can do when you trust yourself and the world around you. Clara held it close. I will remember, Kaya. Thank you for everything. You are welcome, he said. Tomorrow we can explore further. There is still so much to see, and I will teach you what I can. As they drifted to sleep, the prairie around them seemed alive and protective. Clara felt a sense of trust she had never known, not only in Kaya but in herself. She knew that tomorrow would bring new adventures, new lessons, and perhaps even more wonder. For the first time, Clara realized that getting lost had not been a mistake. It had been the beginning of something extraordinary. A friendship, a connection to the land, and the discovery of her own courage. The night was calm, the fire warm, and the prairie full of stories waiting to be discovered. Clara closed her eyes with a smile, ready for whatever the next day would bring. The next morning, the prairie greeted them with the soft hum of life. Birds sang from the tall grass, and the wind rippled across the hills like gentle waves. Clara woke to the smell of smoke and the warmth of the fire Kaya had already stoked. Today, he said, they would go further than before. Where are we going? Clara asked, brushing her hair back from her face. To the old hills beyond the stream, Kaya replied. There are caves there, and we might see tracks of animals we haven't seen yet. It will be an adventure. Clara's eyes sparkled. An adventure? I love adventures. They packed their small belongings, water, some bread, and Kaya's simple tools, and set off. Clara walked carefully, noticing the subtle changes in the land. The prairie was alive with tiny details, the rustle of rabbits in the grass, the glint of sunlight on dew-covered plants, and the distant calls of hawks circling overhead. Kaya taught her how to move quietly, so as not to scare the animals. You can hear more if you are still impatient, he explained. The land speaks, but you must listen. Clara tried. She slowed her steps, letting her ears catch the faintest sounds. She heard the snap of twigs, the soft thud of distant hooves, and the trickle of water in the stream they had left behind. Each sound made her heart race with excitement. As they approached the hills, the terrain grew steeper. Clara struggled at first, but Kaya offered a steady hand and encouragement. You are stronger than you think, little star, he said. Keep moving, step by step. Finally, they reached a small plateau overlooking a wide valley. The view took Clara's breath away. She had never seen anything like it. The valley stretched endlessly, dotted with wildflowers and dotted with small animals grazing peacefully. This is beautiful, Clara whispered. I've never seen anything so big and open. The prairie is full of wonders, Kaya said, and there is still more to see. They continued toward the caves Kaya had mentioned. Along the way, Clara noticed unusual tracks in the dirt. What made these? She asked, pointing. Kaya knelt to examine them. These are deer tracks, he said. Look how small they are at first, then larger. A mother and her fawn passed this way. Clara crouched to trace the tracks with her fingers. It's amazing how much we can tell just by looking. Yes, Kaya agreed. Observation is everything. You will notice more each day. When they reached the caves, Clara hesitated at the dark openings. Are they safe? She asked. They are, Kaya said, but we must stay close and watch our steps. Some parts are slippery. Hand in hand, they stepped inside. The air was cool and damp, and the walls glistened faintly with moisture. Clara felt a shiver of excitement. The caves were mysterious but inviting, like a secret world waiting to be explored. See these marks? Kaya pointed to faint scratches on the stone walls. Animals have passed this way. Maybe foxes or small mammals. And look, the ceiling is high and safe. Clara ran her hands along the walls, marveling at the smooth stone. It feels magical, she said. They ventured further, discovering small pools of water and hidden nooks. Clara felt a thrill at each discovery, feeling brave and capable. Kaya encouraged her gently, letting her explore while keeping a watchful eye. After exploring the caves, they climbed to the top of a small hill nearby. From there, they could see the sun beginning to set, painting the valley in golden and pink hues. Clara sat on a rock, taking in the view. I've never felt so alive, she said softly. Everything feels bigger and more beautiful here. Kaya smiled. It is the prairie's gift to those who respect it. And you respect it well, little star. As they began their walk back, the sky darkened and the first stars appeared. Clara realized how tired she was, but it was a good kind of tired. The kind that comes from learning, exploring, and being truly engaged with the world. Suddenly they heard a rustling in the grass nearby. Both froze. A small group of deer emerged, startled by the noise. Clara held her breath, remembering Kaya's lessons on patience. Slowly they watched the deer graze and move across the prairie, their elegant movements calming Clara's racing heart. You see, Kaya whispered, stillness brings rewards. Clara nodded, feeling a deep sense of wonder. She understood now what Kaya meant when he said the land speaks if you listen. As they walked further, Kaya told her stories of the stars above. He pointed out constellations, naming them and explaining their stories from his people's traditions. Clara listened, captivated. She had never heard the night sky described in such a vivid, meaningful way. The stars remind us of our place, Kaya said quietly. We are small, but we are part of something much bigger, and we can learn from the world if we watch and respect it. Clara felt a warmth in her chest. She realized that this adventure, this day, had taught her more than just survival skills. It had taught her patience, respect, and the joy of observing the world with care. As they neared the camp, they noticed smoke rising from a distant hill. Clara frowned. "What is that?" Kaya studied it. "Probably someone else camping or a small controlled fire." "The prairie has many travelers, and not all are near. We will keep our distance and observe quietly." They watched from a safe distance, learning again the value of patience and careful observation. The fire burned low and did not pose a threat. Kaya nodded. All is well. The land gives us lessons, but it also reminds us to be mindful. By the time they returned to camp, the night was deep and quiet. Clara felt a sense of pride in her courage and skills. She realized how much she had grown in just 2 days. Learning to trust Kaya, trusting herself, and discovering the wonders of the prairie. Kaya noticed her thoughtful expression. "You are changing, little star," he said gently. "You are learning, growing, and becoming more connected to the world around you." Clara smiled. "I feel different, stronger, braver, and I feel—" "You should," Kaya said. "You are capable of more than you realize. And tomorrow we will continue. There are still hills, streams, and hidden places to explore." As they settled by the fire, Kaya prepared a simple meal. Clara helped, and together they laughed at small mistakes and shared quiet moments of conversation. The fire crackled and the stars twinkled above them, painting the night in soft light. Before sleep, Kaya handed Clara a small journal. "Write your thoughts, little star. Record what you see, hear, and learn. It will help you remember the lessons of the prairie." Clara accepted it eagerly. "Thank you, Kaya. I will write everything." "Good," he said. "And, remember, the prairie is patient. It will wait for you, but it will also teach you if you listen." Clara curled up under the cloak Kaya had given her, the journal resting beside her. She thought about the caves, the deer, the stars, and all she had learned. She felt a deep sense of connection to the land, to Kaya, and to herself. As sleep overtook her, she dreamed of the prairie stretching endlessly, filled with adventures yet to come. Tomorrow promised new discoveries, new lessons, and the continued growth of a friendship that had begun with a single act of kindness. The prairie lay quiet, but full of life. Clara and Kaya rested, knowing that the world held more wonders than they could imagine, and that they were ready to meet them together. The next morning, the prairie shimmered with sunlight, golden and warm. Clara awoke feeling refreshed and excited. Ooh. Today, Kaya had promised, they would follow the stream back toward her town. She had learned so much in the last days, about the land, about herself, and about Kaya, and she wanted to see what awaited at the end of their journey. "Good morning, little star," Kaya said, already preparing a small breakfast. The fire crackled gently, and the smell of toasted bread filled the air. "Good morning," Clara replied, smiling. "I'm ready to see the town again, and to show you everything I've told you about it." Kaya nodded. "We will go slowly. The land has lessons for us, even on the way back." After breakfast, they packed their belongings and set off along the stream. The gentle sound of flowing water guided them as they walked. Clara noticed every detail. The curve of the stream, the tracks of small animals, the way the grass bent with the wind. She realized she had become more aware of her surroundings, noticing beauty she had never seen before. "You've changed," Kaya said quietly. "You walk with purpose now, and you notice more than you did before." Clara laughed softly. "I guess I've learned from the best teacher." They walked for hours, stopping occasionally to rest, eat, or observe the wildlife. Clara pointed out birds' nests, unusual plants, and tracks she recognized from their lessons. Kaya nodded and smiled each time, proud of how much she had learned. As they reached a small hill, Clara paused to look back at the prairie stretching behind them. It seemed endless, full of secrets and memories. She felt a mixture of happiness and sadness. Happy for all she had experienced, but sad that this adventure was coming to an end. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "I'll never forget this place." "You won't," Kaya replied, "and it will always be here if you return. The land does not forget those who respect it." Soon, the stream widened, and they began to see signs of human life, fences, small fields, and the distant outline of Clara's town. Her heart lifted. "We're close," she said. "I can see the rooftops," Kaya smiled. Yes, but remember, we still have to follow the stream carefully. Sometimes the path is tricky near towns and we must be mindful. They followed the water's edge, stepping carefully over rocks and shallow pools. Clara realized how much more confident she had become in walking through uneven terrain. She even spotted a family of ducks gliding across the water, something she would have missed before. As they neared the town, they were met by curious townspeople. Some had seen Clara wandering days ago and were surprised to see her return. "Clara, are you all right?" called a woman from a fence. Clara waved. "I'm fine. I've been learning so much on the prairie." The townspeople looked at Kaya, who nodded politely but said little. Clara quickly introduced him. "This is Kaya. He helped me, taught me about the land, and kept me safe." The townspeople were impressed and thanked Kaya for his kindness. He simply nodded, his calm demeanor unchanged, but Clara could see a small smile on his face. After greeting the townspeople, Clara and Kaya walked to the edge of the town. She wanted to show him her home, the places she loved, and the streets she had walked every day before getting lost. Kaya listened carefully, asking questions and observing everything around him. Clara realized that Kaya was as curious about her world as she had been about his. "I never knew there were so many things to learn in a town," Kaya said. "Even here, I see lessons and stories waiting to be discovered." Clara laughed. "And I never realized how much the prairie could teach me until you showed me." They continued their walk, sharing small stories and laughs. Kaya told Clara about the constellations above the town and compared them to the ones in the prairie. Clara shared her favorite books and stories, and Kaya listened with interest. Their friendship had grown stronger than ever, built on trust, learning, and shared experiences. As the sun began to set, Kaya and Clara reached her home. She turned to him, feeling a mix of gratitude and sadness. "Thank you, Kaya," she said. "I've learned so much. I'll never forget this adventure or your friendship." "You are welcome, little star," Kaya replied. "Remember, the lessons of the prairie stay with you wherever you go, and friendship can be found in the most unexpected places." Clara nodded. "I will remember, and I hope we can meet again someday." Kaya smiled faintly. "We will. The world is bigger than we think, and paths cross in ways we cannot always predict." Before he left, Kaya handed her one final gift, a small, smooth stone he had found near the cave. It was warm to the touch, and engraved with a simple pattern from the prairie. "Keep this," he said. "It is a reminder of your courage, your lessons, and the friendship we share." Clara took the stone and held it close. "I will cherish it," she said softly. Kaya mounted his horse, preparing to leave. Clara watched as he rode away, the sunset painting him in golden light. She felt a mixture of sadness and hope. Sadness because the adventure was ending, but hope because she knew she had grown, learned, and made a friend she would never forget. As Clara returned home, she held the stone tightly and felt a warmth in her heart. She realized that the prairie had not only taught her about survival and nature, but had also shown her the importance of kindness, trust, and friendship. She had discovered courage within herself, and had found someone who saw and nurtured it. That night, Clara sat by her window, the small stone on her desk. She opened the journal Kaya had given her and began to write. She recorded everything: the days in the prairie, the adventures, the lessons, and the stories Kaya had shared. Each word reminded her of the wonder she had felt and the bond she had formed. She wrote late into the night, her heart full. When she finally closed the journal, she looked up at the stars outside her window and smiled. She knew that even if she could not see Kaya every day, the prairie, the stars, and the lessons she had learned would always connect them. The next morning, Clara went outside, carrying the journal and the stone. She walked to a small hill near her home, remembering the adventures they had shared. She traced the patterns on the stone and thought of Kaya's words about the prairie, patience and trust. She realized that her journey had changed her. She felt stronger, wiser, and more connected to the world around her. Clara also felt gratitude. She was grateful for the adventure, for Kaya's guidance, and for the discovery of a friendship that had begun with kindness and trust. She understood now that true connection could happen in unexpected ways, and that the world held more wonders than she could have imagined. In the days that followed, Clara continued to explore, write, and learn. She returned to the prairie sometimes, following the stream or climbing small hills, remembering Kaya's lessons. She noticed the smallest details, from the flutter of a bird's wings to the patterns of the stars. Each discovery reminded her of her adventure and the courage she had found within herself. One afternoon, she received a small note delivered by a traveler passing through her town. It was from Kaya. He wrote simply, "The prairie watches over you, little star. Keep learning, keep exploring, and remember the friendship we share." Clara smiled, tears of happiness in her eyes. She held the note close and felt warmth in her heart. The prairie, Kaya, and the lessons they had shared would always be part of her. From that day on, Clara faced life with confidence, curiosity, and courage. She explored new places, learned new skills, and never forgot the kindness and wisdom of Kaya. And though their paths were sometimes far apart, the bond they shared, rooted in trust, friendship, and the lessons of the prairie, remained strong. The prairie stretched endlessly, golden and full of life. Clara knew it would always be there, waiting for those who respected it and were willing to listen. And in the quiet moments, when the wind whispered through the grass, she could almost hear Kaya's voice reminding her of the lessons they had learned together. The adventure had ended, but the friendship, the courage, and the love of the prairie would stay with her forever. Clara smiled at the horizon, ready for all the adventures still to come, carrying in her heart the warmth of a friendship that had begun with kindness and grown into something truly unforgettable.